Inhabitants of some parts of the far north region of the Republic of Cameroon lament over growing insecurity as a result of atrocities committed by militants of the Nigerian terrorist sect Boko Haram. Many of them are now living on mountains after their loved ones were killed. We shall be taking you to one of the villages in the far north region of the country, which has recurrently come under the attack of Boko Haram militants. In this edition of the news, and the national president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM political party, Professor Maurice Kamto, says the government of Cameroon has missed the right track as far as the response to the COVID-19 pandemic is concerned. And also in this newscast, we will take you to the site of the Bangapongo plane crash in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, and we shall be taking you there 13 years after that tragic incident. Inhabitants of Makulai village in the far north region of the Republic of Cameroon are complaining that they have been abandoned by public authorities in the hands of Boko Haram terrorists operating in parts of the far north region of the Republic of Cameroon, and insecurity is on the rise in that locality and other parts of the region as Boko Haram continues committing atrocities, killing persons and burning down villages. Many of the villagers are now living on mountains after over 9 persons were killed in Mukulai village. Details with Fomi Armstrong Sander.
Villagers consistently assassinated in unperturbed terrorist attacks. Houses, food crops, animals and sources of livelihood destroyed. The old and the young forced out of their homes to reside in mountainous areas is the story of Makulai village in the Mayosava division of the far north region of Cameroon. It is no longer a problem of the entire division, but that of Makulai village in particular, which seems to be suffering alone. Today, we have lost over 9 persons to the terrorist group Boko Haram. Most recently, 3 persons in a family were all assassinated in one of their attacks. At the beginning, women thought that men were the only targets of the terrorist group, but after the brutal assassination of a woman recently, women with their children joined men in running up to the mountains every evening. Unfortunately, the very old are unable to run up to the mountains every day. However, they manage to climb in order to get warm from the fire set up by the younger ones in the mountains. While up the mountains, we sleep on branches of leaves and bed sheets, and those who can afford mattresses use them. Every morning, we go down the valleys and to the village to get water and food for ourselves and our animals.
Le soir avec un peu d'eau pour faire boire petits enfants parce qu'ils en ont besoin.
The most recent attack that left 3 persons dead in a family also saw the church building vandalized by members of the Boko Haram terrorist group, according to villagers. Mokulai villagers now forced to live in mountainous areas say their hope is gone.
Donc ça me fait très mal quand j'apprends que
to the divisional officer for Mora subdivision, it is painful to know that the people now reside in mountainous areas because of insecurity. The DO said the government had planned to set up a security post in Mokulai village latest April 2020, but the security commander for the area was transferred before the period. The new security commander for the area, according to the divisional officer, says he is still studying the document. The DO went further to warn individuals whom he accused of feeding terrorists with information concerning the village.
Deuxième fois, parce que la veille, quelqu'un a eu 300 000, ils sont venus chercher 300 000. Qui leur a dit? Et on a attaqué dans cette famille. On abat 3 personnes. Mais c'est vous les complices.
Added to insecurity, the area suffers acute underdevelopment.
Makulaye souffre de son enclavement.
On their horses, on food, motorbikes and camels. Villagers go several kilometers away to get potable water, and even when they get there, what they fetch as water is more of urine.
Like the villagers of Makulai village in the far north region of the country, several inhabitants of the northern regions are more exposed at the risk of coronavirus because of the problem of inadequate potable water supply, highlighted at the tail end of that report by for me, Armstrong Sander. And the COVID-19 figures have continued rising in the Republic of Cameroon. More than 5,000 confirmed cases now recorded in the Cameroon, and according to some civil society and political leaders, the figures are speedily increasing because of several flaws in government's COVID-19 response strategy. And Professor Maurice Kamto, national president of the CRM political party, thinks that the government of Cameroon has completely missed the right track as far as the fight against coronavirus is concerned. Take a listen to Professor Maurice Kamto in this extract.
We were gathered here for the first. Clearly, the government's approach and response to the pandemic is not the right one. To say this is an observation, not a polemic. It means calling on those in charge to the response to rectify the situation. The Prime Minister's decision of 30th April, even if it was based on very high instructions from God, alone knows who, was not well inspired. A female doctor at the Lakentini Hospital in Douala, who is also a member of the National Assembly, who cannot be suspected of being against the government, sounded the alarm on 19 May. She declared that Cameroonians are unconscious in that they no longer respect barrier measures, that the hospital is overwhelmed. Between 50 and 100 patients are now being seen there every day since the relaxation of measures, that the publication of statistics is now regulated. According to the statistical data dated 23rd of May, which with an average growth rate of 10% per week, the progression of COVID-19 infection is exponential in Cameroon, in any case the fattest in the world, in that it is higher than any other country where the contamination is on the rise. Thus, less than a month after the reopening of bars, restaurants and leisure spots beyond 6 p.m., the lifting of restrictions in public transport, and on the eve of the start of the school year, scheduled for the 1st June 2020, Cameroon holds the world record in the dynamics of the evolution of the coronavirus pandemic.
Professor Maurice Kamto, national president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, was speaking today in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, after handing over his own personal COVID-19 aid to the coordination team of the Cameroon or Suivi Cameroon Survival Initiative, an initiative put in place by some militants of the CRM political party to help in the fight against coronavirus. And the Cameroon Suivi Cameroon Survival Initiative has over 10,000 face masks and over 900 test kits that it wants to hand over to public authorities in the fight against coronavirus. Take a listen to Professor Maurice Kamto once more.
We were gathered here for a first ceremony to present a donation composed of 10,000 barrier masks, 6,800 surgical masks, 950 test kits for COVID-19. Following the exceptional reception reserved for these donations by health services and organizations that SCSI contacted, I decided to bring an additional contribution to the citizen and humanitarian initiative over which we preside. Thus, in order to accompany the important humanitarian work of SCSI, whose salutary character is evident from the numerous testimonies of the populations of the different regions of the country who have already benefited from this action, and to modestly respond challenges raised by health personnel, I'm making available to SCSI 3,200 KN1955 mask, which is the most protective for the medical personnel, and 1,000 COVID-19 tests. The modesty of this gift may be mocked at, but we can only give what we have. I'm not competing with anyone. I bring what little I have, and if it can help in any way to save the life of even a single Cameroonian, I will be happy to do so. I trust you to offer it to the health facilities that need it the most.
Professor Maurice Kamto, National President of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Political Party, speaking, the Divisional Officer of Bamuso Subdivision in Bakassi Peninsula, Southwest region of Cameroon, has warned the executive team of the Bamuso Council to reside or to come back to the area. And he was speaking in that part of the country, and he said that sanctions await those who will continue to be absent at their duty post. Many of them have escaped due to the socio-political and security tensions in that part of the country. Derek Jato has more.
I received instructions from the senior division officer volunteer.
Ultimately attended in respect of barrier measures to back COVID-19. Wala Ezak, Divisional Officer for Bamuso Subdivision in the Indian Division, sitting in for Fowan Lawrence, the Senior Divisional Officer of the said division, officially waits on the mayor, the first and second deputies of the Bamuso Council, their sarges and insignia signifying their titles and responsibilities. This Bamuso fishing population needs you at all times, and thus you all must reside in the subdivision and work for the people that elected you. The divisional officer told this executive team.
The obligation of residency shall mean the obligation of to effectively reside in the territory of the local authority, and the obligation to perform acts relating to the discharge of duties in the services and territory of the local authority.
And Mayor Samuel Meme, the new mayor of the Bamuso Council, is discovering the challenges on his table.
When I first came, I realized that the council, the staffs of the council were owed 19 months, and the council had no money to pay them. But I took up an initiative to enter into an MOU with the labor delegates of Indian and with the staffs, and we came to a conclusion that their salaries, 19 months accrued arrear salaries, will be paid as arrears subsequently when there is money. As of now, since I took over office, the council has been receiving their monthly salaries without any problem.
The occasion was twinned with the council session for the examination and adoption of the 2019 8,776,644 francs administrative stores and management account of the Bamuso Council, which was unanimously adopted at the end of the session.
The Rijata reporting the municipal authorities of Bangem in the Kupe Moningoba division during their first extraordinary council session agreed that stringent measures will be taken in that part of the country in order to step up the development of the area and also to bar the way to the coronavirus, and the sum of 1 million francs CFA was adopted, or 10,000 francs CFA was to be paid as fines by those who violate some instructions of the council put in place. Immaculate Fogwe.
Municipal authorities in Bangem, Kupe Maninguba Division, Southwest region of Cameroon, have expressed worries with regards to the growing rates of coronavirus infections in the country. With over 4,000 registered cases, these municipal authorities, during their first extraordinary session, deliberated on stringent measures that will be meted on defaulters of government's anti-COVID-19 measures in the area.
We had a few things that we had to do, for which we needed the councillors to deliberate upon, analyze and adopt. By adopting, they authorize us to go ahead with doing those things. We have, for example, the purchase of a pickup, 4x4 pickup, the embellishment and the completion of our fence, the setting of a fine to be paid by those who are not wearing masks as instructed by the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, among others. So they have all been deliberated today in this special session, and I think now on we have the authority to go to the field and exercise all these things.
A decision greatly contested by some inhabitants of Bangem. According to them, the ongoing Anglophone crisis has affected the economy of the area.
No, it's not really easy with us here. Yes, it's not easy with us this way. Even to feed is a problem, because to go to the farm, we are scared. Yes, at this level, we are even hoping that the council should really try and do something to us so that we can really try to improve our lives.
Even though the population say the Anglophone crisis has reduced their economic strength, making them unable to purchase face masks and other anti-COVID-19 kits, authorities remain determined to apply sanctions on defaulters.
And one of the main opposition political parties in the Republic of Cameroon, the Social Democratic Front, is 30 years old. The party of Chairman John Frundi clocked 30 years of existence today, and in those images are some militants of the Social Democratic Front in the Douala 3 subdivision, including the former 6th deputy mayor of that municipality, who were celebrating the party's anniversary today. For the past 30 years, the party of John Frundi has been fighting and struggling for the resolution of the Anglophone crisis, for democracy to be fully implemented in Cameroon, and for other issues of national interest. And today, the party, some critics say, has been relegated to the background after its poor performance in the last presidential election, in which it came fourth after the ruling party of President Paul Biya, the CPDM political party, followed by Maurice Kamto's Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, and the Party for National Reconciliation, the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation of Honorable Cabral Libin. And we talked to one of the founding members, or one of the staunch members of the Social Democratic Front, Senator Henry Kemende, and this is what he told us on the launching of the party 30 years ago, the existence of the party for the past 30 years, what it has become today, and what it is looking to become in the future. We'll be coming back to that in a short while. Time for us, as I told you in the headlines, to take you to Mbanga Pongo, to the site of the aircraft or the air crash that occurred, the plane crash that occurred in that locality over 13 years ago. And now the people of Banga Pongo in Douala are saying that they have been forgotten by government, notably with regards to unfulfilled promises made by the government, promises to construct a remembrance monument, roads and schools and other social amenities in that locality, promises which have not been fulfilled till date. Smanjikan Gebre.
Within this more than 20 meters deep artificial lake lies part of the Boeing 537-800 flight of the Kenyan Airways, which crashed on the night of the 4th to the 5th of May 2007. When the incident occurred, Cameroonian government promised to build a monument in remembrance of the 114 victims. 13 years gone, the promise is not yet realized. I was satisfied to hear that the government has promised to build a monument here, because it will always remind us that a crash happened here. If this monument doesn't exist till date, I am still calling on government to do something. This engine I'm sitting on has been protected by the palace because it is the only thing to prove what happened here. Within the site of the incident, parts of the Kenyan Airways are still very visible. Alongside a pair of shoes and dresses. These items are still very visible because the chiefdom of Banga Pongo has been in charge of keeping the area clean and ensuring that none of these items is taken away. 13 years after, if the palace didn't keep this area clean, it would have been a forest. We know that Cameroon is going through difficult moments, but we should also think about those families that had difficult times when the crash happened. Economic operators and elites could join hands with the government to realize the project. As a result of the crash in May 2007, apart from the construction of a remembrance monument, the government had promised to open up roads that will lead to the crash site and also develop Banga Pongo. Unfortunately, the reality is the opposite, as roads remain the key problem to the inhabitants of Banga Pongo.
La réalité de Banga Pongo, c'est la route. La route est impraticable pour entrer et sortir.
The main problem of inhabitants here is the lack of accessible road network. When going to town, we have to put our dresses in our bags and dress only when we arrive town. When one is outside and it's more than 11 p.m., no way for him or her to return. I stay sometimes for 2 months without seeing the main road because we are blocked.
Même 2 mois sans voir le goudron. Oui, nous sommes bloqués ici. Manque de route, c'est le véritable problème que nous vivons ici.
Most inhabitants who want to go for an event out of Banga Pongo will have to change their dresses at the main road, which is tarred.
Donc comme vous me voyez habillé là, voici le meilleur habillement de Banga Pongo.
Just as I'm dressed, this is the best way someone living here can dress. Everyone here dresses and put on his shoes only on the main road because one can't wear a good pair of shoes here. The best footwear here at Banga Pongo is slippers or boots.
Les motos, pour nous porter jusqu'à ce quartier, il faut débourser au minimum 1000 francs, 700 francs, 1000 francs.
Schools are also a key problem to the inhabitants of Banga Pongo, as till date, pupils and students study under difficult conditions in poorly constructed infrastructures. 13 years gone without government fulfilling these promises, the inhabitants of Banga Pongo are reminding the authorities to go back to the drawing board and transform their words into action.
Thanks, Smart Nchikan Gabriel, for that in-depth report on Mbanga Pongo in the Douala 3 subdivision. And now we're coming back to Senator Kebende, member of Cameroon's Upper House of Parliament, who is speaking on the anniversary of the Social Democratic Front, the 30th anniversary of the Social Democratic Front. He will be talking about the launching of the party some 30 years down memory lane, the existence of the party for the past 30 years, what it has become today, and its future plans. So what is looking forward to become. Senator Kimende, take a listen.
Yes. Today is the 30th anniversary of the Social Democratic Front, the SDF. In fact, 30 years is a generation, which is a milestone that has been covered by the Social Democratic Front. Today, permit me to extend my hand of fellowship as a militant of the SDF Social Democratic Front since 1990, when it was launched variously in the whole national territory. Permit me to say, to congratulate the members of the militants of the Social Democratic Front throughout the national territory. And suffice it to say, this event reminds us of the distance we've covered, right from the first day, 26th day of May 1990, when it was launched variously throughout the national territory. And me in particular, I was in Yaoundé University then, and we marched up the hills of Nwekele from the university campus, and we're moving up until at a point when we reached the police station at the chateau level. Water cannons started pursuing us, and actually the majestic march that we're making up to Chateau became sour, whereby the front population started pushing us way behind, and then we became the first, and we're running down the hills because water cannons were coming. And at the end of the day, we consider that we had launched the Social Democratic Front. The same thing happened in Bamenda, and 6 young men, ladies and gentlemen, they fell. Today, the people who were born that day, they are 30 years old. They are adults. We are still in the struggle. It has not been easy. We started with a lot of force. When we entered the parliament, it was with a lot of force. And there were a number, as the years went by, it started dwindling. The fortunes of the Social Democratic Front started dwindling. Not dwindling out of the making of the hierarchy of the party, or not out of the making of the militants of the party, but because the system made it to be so.
Senator Kimende, member of Cameroon's Upper House of Parliament and member of the Social Democratic Front, speaking there, and we are extending our condolences to Senator Kimende for the death of his father, Pa Kimende Lawrence Sama, and maternal auntie Mami Ndifoba Mary, and both of them will be buried the weekend of the 6th of June 2020 in the Balikumbat. It is, of course, in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. Coming up next, Talking Point. Thanks, dear viewers, for staying with us in Talking Points. Our guest today, Dr. Kinge Thompson Nje, who is a public health and epidemiology specialist, director of the Limbe Regional Hospital, is joining us from the southwest region of Cameroon. Good evening, doctor.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us in today's edition of Talking Point. And we're talking about coronavirus. The figures are still rising. The number of confirmed cases, deaths, and of course treated cases also are still rising. What's your analysis of the latest COVID-19 figures in Cameroon?
Well, we all know that Cameroon has registered more than 5,000 cases. I would say that that is a very, very, very huge number. Numbers are increasing exponentially, and it is a good reason to worry about.
Now, when you look at the number of persons confirmed with coronavirus, 5,044, with 2,956 active cases, 1,917 recoveries, and 171 deaths recorded so far. What can you say about the management of the coronavirus with regards to the number of persons infected, number of persons recovered, and number of persons who have recovered, and the number of persons who have died so far?
Well, I'll say that I'm very worried because the numbers keep increasing. In 3 months, we've registered more than 5,000 cases. The number of active cases is high because we need to push that down to reduce transmission of the virus. The number of cases that have recovered give us a good feeling, but it is not an expression of victory. The number of cases are too high. About 150 persons have died because of the coronavirus. That is too high for Cameroon, and I believe that something should be done to push down that number if we cannot bring it down to 0.
What explains the continuous increase in figures? Are we moving towards the peak of the pandemic?
Well, at this point, it is difficult to say that we are moving towards the peak of the pandemic in Cameroon. Before you can make any statement, good statement related to that, you must first of all make sure that testing is massively adequate. Testing should be adequate and it should be massive. In that way, we know the number of new cases. In that way, we know the infection rate. And in that way, we can tell if we are still climbing the curve, if we are at the peak and trying to flatten it out, or if we are having a nosedive. Our objective is to have a nosedive and to come back to 0. So at this point, I will say that because testing is not massive enough, I want to thank the Minister of Public Health for decentralizing testing. More and more people are being tested today, but I don't believe it is enough to come out with the true picture of the number of new cases.
Are you saying that the figures presented by the Ministry of Public Health do not represent the actual situation on the ground because of a limited test?
I'm tempted to say so, yes.
What could actually be the right situation on the ground, or the appropriate situation on the ground? Because medics like you, experts like you, talk of say that one case is capable of infecting at least 10 other persons, and if we want to multiply, the figure would be quite higher than what we have today officially.
Well, if we agree that the growth in the number of cases is exponential, again, I said we have to be worried, very, very worried about that. Then you will say that any decision taken today in the management of COVID-19 should be talking about preparing for the management of 15,000 to 20,000 cases. Again, that is a statement I'm making, and it will be difficult to disprove that because we are still climbing on the curve, and we have all agreed that testing is not enough. So if we are still climbing on our epidemic curve, then the decisions today should be targeting between 15,000 and 20,000 patients.
And at this point in time, the Minister of Public Health says that the country is moving into a critical, more complicated stage of the pandemic. What should we understand by that?
He is correct because the numbers are growing exponentially, and so people have to be careful. That is why he made that statement.
And if the country is moving into a critical stage, and is it not paradoxical that government has decided to lift the restrictive measures or the measures that were put in place to stop the spread of the virus?
It is not paradoxical. It depends on where you are standing. It depends on what you are looking at. I think the Minister of Public Health, the government of Cameroon, are managing a very, very complicated situation. That situation is like a patient with multiple fractures and so many complications. So if a patient has a fracture on the head, a fracture on the right upper limb, and another fracture on the left lower limb, how do you manage such a patient? If the patient unfortunately presents with other complications like heart failure, how do you manage such a patient with so many problems? It depends on what you have. It depends on what you can offer. And I think the Cameroon government is trying to offer what they can. The situation is complex. It is a health situation. It's a health problem with so many economic complications, with so many social and cultural issues attached to that. What can you say? I think it's a complex situation for the government, and if we look around, it has been same with other governments throughout the world. So I think that although measures have been relaxed, a lot of people are criticizing that. We need to understand the position of the government. They are in a more complicated. We are looking at things squarely on health matters, the health issue, health side of the coronavirus pandemic. But I think the government has a bigger picture because they are looking at health, they are looking at economics, they are looking at socials, they are looking at culture. So I don't think relaxing these measures is a bad thing. The second thing I would like to say is that, again, it is an option which is considered all over the world. If you want to consider your citizens as if they are sheep, they know nothing, they don't even have value for their lives, then you want to put out there on the street policemen and soldiers to kick them back into their homes and put on their masks because they don't know what life means and they don't even have value for their lives. So if the Cameroon government believes and they have chosen the option of considering Cameroonians as responsible people, people who know the value of life, who should know the value of their lives, then they should follow the measures put in place, measures of social distancing, measures of putting on face masks, and measures of going out only when it is very essential.
All right. However, some experts like you and some politicians, you must have heard Professor Maurice Kamto in this newscast saying that government has completely gone out of track by lifting the restrictions, because since the restrictions were lifted, the figures have been increasing at a more greater speed, and so they think that it was a mistake for government to have lifted the restrictions. Now, in some few seconds, Dr. Kingi, what do you think about the fact that government decides to disperse over more than 4 billion francs CFA for the purchase of cars for new MPs at a time when it needs more money to fight the pandemic? Was it the right decision or the wise decision?
Well, first of all, I want to respect Professor Maurice Kamto's point of view, but I want to say that because we are talking about COVID-19 is not the only problem we face in Cameroon today. I think I have heard a number of people, I have seen a number of people who have said that coronavirus certainly is not going to kill them. It's hunger that is going to kill them. And so to solve the problem of hunger, which is top on the list of the worries presented by Cameroonians, relaxation of these measures to promote economic activities was very necessary. 4 billion francs, again, I have said that life has not suddenly come to an end because of coronavirus. Life in Cameroon, other aspects of life in Cameroon must continue. And if the government feels that our parliamentarians need transport means, then that is very important as well.
Dr. Kingi Thompson J, you are a public health and epidemiology specialist, director of the Limbe Regional Hospital in the southwest region of Cameroon. Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Goodbye.